It's a whole lot of us, that's my family. Wanna go higher, turn up the tempo, increase the BPM, okay. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM.
What's up, guys? It's Chris. Welcome to our weekly podcast, In the Huddle, where we talk to current or former athletes at the University of Louisville, kind of catch up with what's going on in their life, what their life has been like, what their life is now doing, and what God has continued to do through them. I am super excited about today. A good friend of mine, former baseball player at the University of Louisville, current major league player, Josh Rogers. Josh, thanks so much for being part of our podcast today.
It's awesome, man. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here and humbled to be in your presence, my man. It's always a pleasure.
I love being part of your world, man. I've known you for a long time. You went to high school over on the other side of the bridge, Southern Indiana, New Albany High School. Tell us what it was like growing up in the Rogers family.
Such a strong family. Like my grandfather was just a big, family guy. Like kind of set the foundation of like what it means to have a family. Get emotional always talking about him. He passed in 2020. It's been tough ever since then for me. But just the family aspect of us, we're super tight. We've always been close, and I think like coming from a small town like that in New Albany, like people kind of know that. It's like it's a close knit town, but our family, we do so much together. We aside from all the trips and stuff, but just like little things during the week. We're always hanging out, and I'm talking to my mom and dad all the time, and my grandparents, I think, set like the precedent of like having a family. Married my beautiful wife Cassidy from Boston, and she comes from that family background too, and it just means so much to both of us to have that tight knit type of family.
Man, I've known you and your family for a long time, and when you say that you guys are close, it's just not a cliche, man. Whether that's been watching your family go to high school games, to all kinds of travel ball stuff, and I remember walking with you when your grandfather passed away, and that just a time in your world just where you continue to just kind of think back, man, and remember of the qualities that he taught you and that he showed you, and man, you make them proud, man. You really do. And just seeing how you carry yourself, you have just an incredible amount of joy to you. You just love life. And I'm not saying that you don't ever have a bad day, but like, where does that come from, man? Where does that come from? It's like you like to have a good time, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think just trying to be positive every day, just being happy and by the people I'm surrounded with. I love my friends. I love my family. I love my wife. But I strive to be a better person every day. I struggle just like everybody else and have bad days and go through tough times. And, just becoming a father, we just had our first little baby girl. So just like, reaching out to my friends and, obviously my dad and mom have been a huge, like we said, like my family has just been so big in my life, but, just surrounding myself with the right people. And Coach McDonald talked about that a ton, my high school coach, even Coach McIntyre talked about that a ton. It's always about who you surround yourself with. And, I feel like I have a really good group of people around me, either my homeboys from home to keep me humble and pull me back down and, or just, and to lift me up at the same time. Just so much support, in the town and the people, that I'm around, you and just a ton of people. So I just try to be happy and try to enjoy life, man. I don't try to stress too much. Moving, in and out of this like baseball journey, maybe transitioning into something else. It has been stressful. Just kind of what's next, you know what I mean? Like, they always talk about, you got to plan for what's next and what are you going to do? What's going to be next? And it doesn't really hit you until it hits you. And it's like, man, you kind of take a step back and like, what is next? So, but I'm just trying to enjoy life, man. Enjoy my family, enjoy my friends, enjoy the company I'm around. I've been blessed, obviously, to play baseball for as long as I've gotten to, and just continue to be a good person, day in and day out.
Yeah, let's even go back to just even sports growing up, and I look forward to talking about college and even professional and certain things. But growing up, were sports always part of your world?
Yeah, it's crazy. I never thought I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. I wanted to be, but I tell people, I was a basketball player. I was a kid from Indiana. Like I was a basketball player. Like I thought I was going to, I wanted to be a basketball player. I want to play in the NBA, but kind of like just, my dad and mom supported me so much, like with the sports thing. And it was on me. Like I wanted to play and I loved it. I played basketball, played baseball, played basketball, played baseball, back and forth, back and forth.
And New Albany had some basketball teams now.
Yeah, we did. We were pretty good. Unfortunately, my senior year we weren't great, but I got to play, so that was cool. It was great. But yeah, just like sports was so big to me and in my life, obviously, is just having the opportunity to play. And my parents gave me that opportunity and supported me so much, whether it was lessons, taking me to practices, taking me to games, traveling for tournaments. And like, I think a lot of kids and a lot of people, obviously when you're 12, 13, 14 years old, you don't really know or appreciate really what's going on, like the sacrifice, the money, and, all the stuff that goes into doing that kind of stuff. And everybody thinks their kid and, is going to be a professional player, wants them to be the best player. And, my dad and mom never like, I think they knew I was good and like advanced as a young kid, but I don't think I was ever like light years beyond like some of these people. I was kind of, I played up in leagues and stuff and just, I was just a competitor, man. I would just always compete and just try to do my best.
I can definitely say that you were a competitor,
yeah.
man. That's I've seen that in many realms. But when did you realize, like, hey, I'm gifted. I'm gifted at this baseball thing. I'm a left-handed guy that throws really hard, and I got some stuff. When did you start to realize, okay, this is going to take me somewhere?
Yeah, we had a good little league team that we played, and we got to play on ESPN back in the day, which was cool. I pitched in that game, and a bunch of my buddies, still close with today, that were on that team. We were like 12, 13 years old, and so we kind of transitioned into high school. And again, I was a basketball player. Like I thought I was a hooper. So I don't even make the JV team my freshman year. Like I said, we had some good players in New Albany, so I'm on the freshman team. Played freshman basketball. Moved into the baseball season, and it was funny. I'll never forget. We had like a gym workout. Coach McIntyre. He's just one of my great friends and mentors. And Coach Mac, I love him. I've had two Coach Macs, but we had a gym workout, and he was like, "Hey, we're going over the list," and he announced my name. He was like, "Hey, Josh Rogers, like you're a pitcher only," and I'm like, "Whoa, like okay, like that's cool." So they split everybody up into JV and varsity. I'll never forget, and he never told me I should come to the varsity practice that first meeting. Like he never told me. So I was really bummed. And like I had thought like, oh, I was going to be with the varsity guys, our little league team. We had some guys on the varsity team. I'm like, man, he didn't tell me to come to practice. They're going to practice that day. So like I think varsity practice, like from 3 to 5, and then the JV team was from like 5:15 to 6 or 7, whatever it was after. So I didn't go to the practice. I told my mom, hey, I need a ride and got to go to, I'm not going to varsity practice. And I show up to the field and he's just staring at me. And I show up and it's like, what, where have you been? Like you missed your first practice. And I said, Coach, you never told me. Like, how am I going to just show up, when he never told me. It's funny, we banter about that and stuff, but I missed my first practice with them. And I kind of knew after my freshman year. I pitched well. I think I had a really good freshman season. Started getting some recruitment offers and started talking with some teams. And Louisville has been a huge part of my life. I've been a huge Louisville basketball fan my whole entire life. So I think Coach Lamonis and Coach McDonald knew that a little bit. So we were, obviously the baseball program is exceptional here, and it was a dream come true to be able to be a part of this. So it all worked out great. And freshman year, man, I started to get that interest. So I shut the basketball thing down, didn't play my sophomore, junior year, focused solely on baseball, did the travel ball thing, played for my high school team. It was great. I had a lot of good teammates that pushed me, helped me, coaches, family. It was great. So yeah, freshman year, man, I said, let's do this baseball thing. Now that I think, oh yeah, I'm going to get drafted and play. Nah, no way. But yeah, it was cool.
So you made the decision to sign with Louisville. You're a diehard Louisville basketball guy. We'll get to that here shortly, I guess. But you came, and you were part of probably one of the stretches of time where Louisville baseball was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like it had some like dogs, like some studs, some dudes on that squad. Walk us through what it's like to play baseball at the University of Louisville when you came on campus. You know, you're a big guy in New Albany. You come here, and you're with a lot of guys that had, you know, you come off that College World Series, when 07, and so you're hungry. And tell me about those years just playing baseball at Louisville.
Yeah, so coming into that 14 season, they'd come off of, I think it was a tough year for them. Yeah. And our class was crazy, but it's wild because we didn't know. Everybody was like, we were all good. Everybody's good at their high school. Everybody's like, one of the best players on their high school team in the region or whatever. And you come to a school like Louisville, and it's like, all right, like, we're all good. Now, how are we going to mesh together? How are we going to gel? And it's like our team was just, we were so talented, but at the time, I don't think any of us knew, like, really how good we could be or how good we were. It was crazy. It was like, Nick Solak, Will Smith, Corey Ray, Brendan McKay, Kyle Funkhauser, Nick Birdie, Zach Birdie. Like, the list goes on and on and on. Like, if, first round or big league. And it's like, at the time, it's like, the culture that Coach McDonald has built, it was like, there's like, you got to set the egos aside. Like, there's no ego. Like, you're playing to win. It's a win-first mentality. It's a family group. It's a win-first mentality. And Coach McDonald just set that tone from day one, from all of us stepping on campus. If you were better than the other guy, you're going to get an opportunity. You're going to play. Like, we're going to win these games no matter what it's about. And being a part of something like that, like, bigger than just like, hey, like, oh, it's about me, or it's about, an individual thing. It was like, I've never been so bought in. Like, I had never been so bought into a culture. Like, and it was so cool. It made it so much more fun. Like, playing for each other and playing for just something bigger. Like, it was about Omaha every single day, whether we're getting up, working out at 6 a.m. or we're at study hall at 6 p.m. Like, it's all about like the culture. And he's just done an amazing job. And I really hope, they're able to turn this ship around this year and get it going.
And I think they will. I just remember you mentioned some of those names, and there's I mean, it goes on and on and on and on with the giftedness of the people. But just even like the attitudes are like contagious. Your grit and your drive. You got pitchers that are just different. Pitchers, they do their own thing. You got some that are kind of quiet. I think of Justin Amlung, that was kind of a quiet guy. He'd go out and do it. There's a couple other guys that aren't. You're not one of those guys that are like quiet, man. You're like, you carry that football and that basketball mentality to a sport that's not that. Where does that come from, man? Where does that like? And I'll get to a couple instances here in a minute, but just where you have, hey, look, I'm gonna be loud. I'm out on an island, so to speak, on this pitcher's mound, but I want everybody to know I want the ball. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that was just like the competitive nature, like of the culture of the team. Like, I didn't used to like be like real like emotional or like, like to let it out and, like, and express it really. But just I think being in that environment with Coach Mack and like him letting you kind of like, hey, be yourself, and like, it's okay to get fired up. Like, it's okay to like want to compete. Like, he is one of the most competitive people I've ever met. And it just kind of like wears off on you. And it's like trying to find yourself really too. It's not like just, the hoorah rah or like trying to like be emotional and scream and do all that. It's like that stuff. Like when you watch like college baseball, it's like raw emotion. Like these guys are so bought into so bought into the team, so bought into the cultures. Like, it's so much bigger than themselves. It's like, it's uncontrollable. Yeah. Like, I didn't ever plan to like strike somebody out and scream or beat my chest or like get everybody fired up. It's like, it means that much to everybody, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And it just comes out.
And it just comes out. So it's like, and people like had seen that, on our team, and it like the game or the moment just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, Coach coach lets you go. Like he loves it. Like it fires him up too. And it's like you see the teams get fired up. Now, maybe you fire the other side up sometimes, and it's not the best decision or the best thing that can happen. But yeah, I just love those moments. That's why I play. Yeah. Like, you know, I just love that competitive nature and to be able to compete. Like,
and I remember there's probably, if I sit here and thought about it, there's probably numerous of things that I've seen and watched you do. But, you know, I remember being in the dugouts, watching those guys, practicing with you guys, just out there watching you all handle your business like professionals, even at the college ranks. You know, you guys are acting like pros. But there was one game in particular, I don't remember what game it was. It was a regional game, and it may have been against Kentucky, that you know, normally the pitching coach will come out, you know, and take the first trip, and then the head coach is coming out, and you know you're coming out, you know, and you just weren't going out, man. I like, walk us through what that looks like when a pitching coach or a coach comes out and you know that your time or the coach thinks it's over and you weren't going out in this. So
right. I think we were we were deeper into the game. I think it was like the 6th or 7th inning or something, and bigger moment. I think a guy or two got on. There was 2 outs, and we got the lead, and I see coach coming out of the dugout, and I'm like, man, like I'm a freshman at this time. I'm coming off Tommy John surgery, so I'm a freshman, and Shane Crane comes out to the mound, our catcher, and he's like, I'm like, I don't want to come out of this game. He said, tell him. You know, just tell him. And it was kind of one of those moments like you blacked out, like, and I'm like, you know, not mad, or I don't want to be disrespectful, or, you know, you never want to show the manager up. That's a huge thing. You never want to show the manager up. So, like, you know, a lot of times guys will come out and they're, like, you know, they're getting taken out of the game. So I just tried to be calm, and when he came up, I put my glove over my face, and I said, like, I'm not coming out of this game. And I think it, like, caught him by surprise. You know, it's like, don't take me out of this game. Like, I think that's what I said. Don't take me out of this game. Like, I want this guy. Like, this is my guy. Like, this is my game. This is my guy. Let me get this guy. And I think it shook him up and caught him by surprise. He said, you know, it's not something you can do every time. You know, it's not something you can just like, oh, you know, it's a game. It's like, oh, no, I'm not. No, it's like, no, you're coming out of the game. Like, this is my decision.
And for you to know that.
Yeah, I think it kind of like had to be the moment, at like the right time, the right moment, and he saw that, like, hey, like, he looked at me and said, go get him.
Oh, I love it. So it's getting me fired up.
Yeah,
like, so you
awesome.
got to know, like, hey, Coach, don't take me out there. You're not characterized by that. You're a very respectful young man. You're listening to the coach, but at the same time, for you to say it, and another thing for coach to be like, okay.
Yeah, to trust in me to do that. Which was really
cool. That was a game changer, man. That was. I remember him coming back and, like, fired him up.
Yeah.
You ended up, I mean,
we got a ground ball and got out of the inning.
Yeah, that's it. And it was like that that attitude is contagious. And it's not just, that's just not a baseball thing. I mean, you act the same whether you're cheering for Louisville basketball or whether you're football. There's a drive. There's an attitude that's contagious with you, and you carry that over in everyday life, man. So how many times did you go to Omaha then?
We went once. So we went that freshman year. We beat Kentucky in the regional, and then we played Kennesaw State for 2. We luckily got to host. They beat Florida State that year, so we won 2 games there, and we go to Omaha freshman year. Unfortunately, we went 2 and out.
Yeah.
Then we moved to the ACC my sophomore year, so it was like the big move, you know, like new kids on the block type thing. We go to the ACC, and we just coming off a College World Series appearance from the AAC, and our team got better, man. Like, we had some dudes, like McKay comes in, and I don't think people realized like how good Brendan was in the fall. You know, like it was like he was hitting and pitching, and, you know, he's a freshman, so everybody's like, oh, man, we're a College World Series team. Like, we're not going to let these, like, freshmen think, you know, they're the guys. But, you know, the fall goes on. He has a really quiet fall. I think he hits, like, 400 and striking everybody out. But you don't really, like, notice, you know. Like, we're in our own, like, kind of world as, like, sophomores and juniors. You know, we already got our boys. And then the freshmen are trying to, you know, make a name for themselves. And we go down to Clearwater to open up the season. And I'm throwing that Sunday game against Cal State Fullerton. And man, we pitched bad. Like, it was Funkhauser pitched bad on Friday, Kidston pitched bad on Saturday, and then I pitched bad on Sunday. Like, we all went like 2 or 3 innings. It was bad. And McKay comes in, and I think he throws like 4 innings and punches out like 8 or 9 guys. And we're like, okay, like this kid's gonna be good. Like he's hitting and just kind of making his way. So it was like we were like, holy cow, we got some pieces, man. Yeah. Like we had some pieces. Like Cade McClure was good, Lincoln Hinsman was good. Like we had some dudes. Drew Ellis was, he was redshirting at the time, but like he was good. Like a talent level and like we had it's like, man, like this is cool. Like we got some dudes. So we just like the culture was great. Like we just built on that every single week, every single day, like grinding together, and we just got better, man. Like we felt like there was nobody in the country that was better than us. And I believe, like, I think it's one of the best, college baseball rosters ever assembled. Like, I mean,
I do too.
We didn't win the College World Series that year, but man, we were good. Like, we only lost like 2 or 3 games in the conference that year. It was insane. Like, number 2 or 3 national seed. Like, we were riding high. But like at the same time, like I said at the beginning, like I don't think we knew, like, man, we're all like next level, like good. Like we're gonna impact. Like we got guys that are impacting like World Series, like Will Smith's impacting the World Series. Like that's awesome, and at the time you're just playing for Louisville.
Yeah, you don't understand what you have.
No.
When you look back, but most of those guys on those rosters that we talked about went on to play at the next level, and you drafted 11th round by the Yankees. You spent some time with the Yankees, with the Orioles, with the Nationals. Marlins, I think that is
and the Rockies last year.
And the Rockies, yeah. And so you spent some good time in. Tell me what it's like. How did Dan McDonnell and Louisville baseball prepare you for the next level of professional?
So I had Tommy John surgery my senior year of high school. I started the first game of the year, blew my arm out, and it started from then. Like I called him. I was, super emotional, upset, missing my senior year. But it was a huge blessing in disguise. I'm not going to say I was going to be like a high draft pick or anything like that, but I was probably going to get drafted. Like I had met with a bunch of teams going into that senior year. I met with probably 20 teams come over to the house. They sit down and, major league teams. The scouts come in and that kind of thing. So it was a really cool experience, but a blowout. So then it's obvious, like I'm going to school. Like I don't think it was ever like I was always planning to go to school, but I would have probably gotten drafted somewhere late or I don't know. But it's funny because I blow out my arm. I call Coach McDonald to let him know, hey, like I'm gonna have to have Tommy John surgery. Okay, well when are you getting it? I said, well, I don't know. I got to go to prom. You got to go to prom. You got to get the surgery. What do you mean you got to go to prom? This is no joke. Like he's like, this is right off the bat. And I'm like, because you're in the recruiting phase and it's a little different, like it's, they're a little nicer, a little happier and everything's kind of smooth, but like I'm signed, sealed, delivered. I'm coming to Louisville. Now he knows I'm coming to Louisville for sure. And I'm like, man, I got prom in, like 2 weeks. Like I got my senior prom. I got to go. He said, no, like you got to get the surgery. What do you mean? So he was on it like instantly. So I'm like, okay, well, I got off the phone. So, well, I guess we're getting the surgery. So a couple days later, I have arm surgery. So I have arm surgery and I graduated high school June 2nd and I started a summer session June 3rd. And it was like clockwork, man. Like that routine, to have that for me was the difference maker. So to transition, to answer your question really, is to get into pro ball. I've seen so many of these like high school kids that are talented, but it's you're on your own, man. Like nobody really cares about, unless you're a $8 million first rounder, like no, they don't care. It's all about you. Like you have to take care of yourself. You got to eat right. You got to work out. You got to sleep. You get to make your own decisions. And a lot of these kids get a ton of money at a young age, and it's tough, like to see, them like, well, I can just do whatever I want. And it's like if they had that structure and that like that mentality that Louisville kind of instilled in me, like I would have never made it and played as long as I have if I didn't go to school. There's no way. Just to have that routine and that drive and the competitive nature, and
he does that with every area. I mean, there's so much. And not only does he keep the players accountable to that. It's the trainers, it's the managers, it's the FCA. I remember my first year with Dan. I remember telling him, "Hey, coach, I'm not gonna be in June. I'm gonna take a family vacation," and he said, "We don't take family vacations in June. June is when that's postseason baseball. We'll take vacations in June." And I'm like, I'm thinking, man, I'm the FCA guy. I'm not pitching. He's like, no. He goes like, we need everybody, and that mindset he takes over everything, and it's a commitment to excellence that he holds himself to that standard, and he is expecting everyone else to hold their standards, and that's why I've seen the past couple years of him get back to where that dude is back, and you can tell that. Not that he ever left. It's just, you had COVID, you had a couple other things. I mean, college athletics in general with NIL's different. You got the transfer portal. You got all kinds of different things that are playing in effect. But now it's just the mindset and the mentality of Louisville baseball. I think is back, and he carried that over with all of that, even with Chapels. Chapels was, something that everybody came to. How does that, like with FCA, you was part of FCA, but even with Chapels and your faith, how has that played a part in your world?
Yeah, just like, I mean, like you made it a big part and made it like an easy like part. It's not something I've always been like really comfortable with, I'd say. And I think that's okay to share. You know what I mean? I think that's okay. But like being a part of FCA, like you made it a comfortable environment, you know, to listen and just to interact with other people and other teams and hear other stories. And, I think that was awesome. It was an awesome, thing to come to. Everybody talked about going to it. And, with the baseball team, Coach Mac's faith's so strong and you guys just pushing it on, like not pushing it on to people, but like just having that culture of it's awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah. So tell us, you get married. You're married. How long have you been married? 2 years?
A little over a year now.
A little over a year. Okay. Tell us a little bit about your bride, man. Tell us how you met, and tell us what marriage is teaching you as being a young married couple.
Yeah, it's awesome. I met her freshman year of college. She's from a small town outside of Boston, Massachusetts. She came down here to be a cheerleader. So we were in the same dorms. We met there. We were just really good friends. Everybody was like their little cheer, like their cheer friends and like our baseball friends. We were all good buddies. Like we were all hanging out all the time, and the dorm was so much fun. Betty Johnson is the co-ed dorm, so it's weird. It's like, you're a freshman in college, you get to hang out, you go over to the girls' rooms, and you're hanging out at night or whatever, and you just get to hang out and be in a different environment. You know what I mean? And just it was really cool. And me and Cass, we were always just like friends. Like Cass didn't like me. Like I liked Cass. I was pursuing Cass. She was like, "No, you're just like you're in the friend zone. You're my buddy." Like. And I was trying hard, man. I was doing everything I can. I'm like, I love this girl, man. I got to figure out how to lock her up. So I pursued her, pretty hard there for the whole year, and finally got her to, feel the same way. I gave her a hard time about it, but
so Boston girl.
That's the Boston girl.
Are you a Celtics person now?
No, not me. But she was she wasn't like a big baseball fan. Like she didn't really even know anything about baseball. Like but the girls would come to the games and stuff, and she always jokes and is like, I didn't even know like you were like a good player, like you were a player, like you were even on the team. But it was fun. So we just our relationship has grown so much. We were together, since after that freshman year, and for her to just stick with me and to believe in me for all these years, and just all the minor league travel or everything, she's never made it about herself. She's always made it about us and supporting me, and I mean I couldn't have picked a better person to do this with. And it like I said, I've had struggles and not been the best person probably, or not the best boyfriend or husband or whatever it is, and it's like trying to strive to be a better person and to be that person for her. She's just the best. Like, and we got engaged. It was, I think, 3 years ago.
Okay.
We got engaged. So we've been together for like seven years at the
Yeah.
time. And it was time. Like, she was ready. I was ready. But for her to be with me, through the highs and lows of like the minor league baseball grind, like, it didn't matter to her if I was ever going to be in the major leagues or anything like that. Like, we love each other, man. And when I realized like I needed like her in my life more than anything, and that my like success and on the field and everything on the field was like directly correlated to like having somebody at home like that, man. Like,
Well, I said that I've
it's
always said
awesome.
that you got to be a very special talent to play at that level, but you have to even have more of a special spouse to be able to succeed at that level for an extended amount of time anyway. And so when you have that, that's an incredible thing. It makes it so much easier in life, especially as your career with baseball has been. You've had a great career, but as you said at the beginning, that, and I see it a lot in all kinds of different sports, whether that's baseball, football, basketball, that it's really easy that you guys have been playing this sport. When did you start playing baseball? At what age?
4 years old, 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years old. You have a glove and you have a ball and a hat, and you just to whenever it will take you and wherever it take you and however long it can, it's easy for your identity to be caught up in a game, in a sport, in a career. And so how does one do that? And I'm not even sure that you ever figure that out completely, but like knowing that your career may be starting to kind of, you said transition. How hard is that for somebody to not have their identity wrapped up in what they do?
Really hard. It's really hard. I think like it's really hitting me more like, in the past like month and a half to 2 months, I think. It's like I kind of knew like it's probably coming to an end, or it's the end is near type thing. But when you really start to like think about it, like you just said, like my identity is a baseball player, but I've never wanted like it to be that. Like I'd rather be like, just the good friend or the goofy dude, or like, hanging out with my buddies or my family and my wife, like that kind of thing. But naturally that's not how it is. Like, the people in town know you for the baseball player, you go back to school, you played baseball at Louisville. It's like, it pulls some weight, like, and it's like, not in like a cocky way, but like in a humbling way, and it's like how you can impact like maybe kids or, people in the community. It's very humbling, but like the transition phase is like, what's next? I talked to you before we turned the cameras on about, Eric Wood, like great mentor, like a big brother to me. I know, good friend of yours as well.
Yeah.
Like just like having him and bouncing ideas off him, or just talking to him. Like, I talk to Eric a lot about this kind of stuff. And it's been hard for me just kind of figuring out what's going to be next. I've got a beautiful wife, great family, little baby girl now. So I'm excited for what's next. Like I said, I'm a competitor. I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for that next challenge if it's to come, if it's to come. And when it comes, because everybody takes the jersey off at some point. What's next? So I'm excited for that next chapter.
And it's not so much even that people, because you'll always be remembered as an athlete here at the University of Louisville, but it's they only let you go so far now.
Yeah.
Like you can walk out the tunnel and you walk out, and then you can walk out on the field if they acknowledge, or you're throwing the first pitch, or they acknowledge an Omaha team, or this or that, or whatever accolades that may come as you become older. But they only let you go so far. And then I guess even we all have that thought of like, what if I'm not remembered, or I'm not thought about, or and so that sneaks on all of us. That's why with me, just with faith, like that I have something, as you said earlier, bigger than yourself. That as an athlete, they're constantly trying be part of something that's bigger than themselves. And to me, that's where faith grabs me. It's like, okay, know why you're here, know your purpose, know that I've called you, that Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, give you a future and a hope. That's even outside of football. That's even outside of FCA. So I have security in that, and that's good for us to be able to hold on to it like that. And it's good for people like Eric Wood that you can go to and you can talk to. Who's some of the people that you really kind of keep in touch with from your teams that you still kind of interact with?
Nick, the Birdie brothers, Nick and Zach. Nick's one of my best friends. We're always talking, always on FaceTime, and his wife Becca went to Louisville as well, and us four are really close. Yeah, the Birdie brothers are like brothers to me. I talk to them. I'll talk to Solak a lot, Nick Solak. Run into Will Smith every now and then. He's big time now, but try to leave him alone. Corey Ray, guys in my class, Jake Sparger around town, Colin Lyman. Try to play golf with those guys when I'm in town and stuff like that. So it's cool just to have that fraternity of like brothers. You can go 2 years without talking to some of these guys, or you cross paths with them, playing baseball. Like we were in Tacoma, Washington last year. I hadn't seen him in a while, and it's like, hey, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings like we used to. And Cass comes with us. We're watching games and just chopping it up.
Yeah,
and
it's so
and
good.
it's awesome. It's the connection. It just runs so deep.
Knowing what you know now, and we can kind of wrap it up with this, but if you could go back to 17, 18-year-old Josh Rogers, then knowing what you know now, what would you say to a young version of Josh Rogers growing up?
Man, enjoy it. Enjoy every day. Enjoy every moment. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be fun. But I always tried to like enjoy and appreciate like every opportunity I was given. I think like young coming up in the minor leagues, like I pitched so well, and like I come from Louisville, like on these teams with these people, and like not a sense of entitlement, but like I felt like I was the guy. Like I was never the best pitcher on any staff I was on, but like I always had that like extra drive and chip on my shoulder to like to move up and to really, I wanted to get to the big leagues. So when I got to the big leagues, it was almost like I made it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's over. And those older guys and those veterans on that team were like, it's not. It just started for you, and to realize that, like as a younger self, like to keep going. Not that I like messed it up or I took it for granted. Like I was working hard every day, and like I wish I would have enjoyed those times like in the major leagues as a young kid, like or not a young kid, but like 23, 24 years old, like a little bit more. It was so stressful. Like, you're trying to please everybody, you're trying to please the veterans, you're trying to, coordinate your friends and everybody coming to the games, which is great and awesome. But just to enjoy like the day-to-day grind, like to still be grinding, like, you're in college or you're in the low levels, like to still be grinding like that. Like, because you haven't made it yet. Like I didn't make it, but it feels like that,
Yeah.
It feels like you did. So to just enjoy the ride, man, like work hard, be true to yourself.
Well, man, I know I can say this, a great talent, a great pitcher, but there's a lot of great pitchers, but very seldom do you have a great pitcher, a great athlete, a great talent that's also a great teammate. And man, you were that, and I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't say that, man, we were better because Josh. Everybody's going to say we were better because Josh Rogers was on our team, and you make other people better. And you even do that. You carry that over in life, man. That joy that you have, it's contagious. So whatever's next for you, man, I know it's going to be great because you'll take that same attitude and that same contagious joy that you have, and you'll keep being the best, man. I love you. I'm super proud of you. It's a joy to call you friend. Thanks for coming on our podcast and just being you, buddy. I love you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I love you too. I'm humbled to be here and just to sit down with you and chat. It's awesome, man. Anytime I get to, it's awesome.
Well, take care, buddy. Thanks so much for coming.